absolutely. Perfect. Yeah, I mean, I saw the plan, which is very detailed, very detailed and very clear of, where we're going, what we want to do. So I quite like that. And I was thinking, okay, how to, at this stage now, how to kick off, and also what does it look, because now what I wanted to do from my end is now update my team as well, the board team, to say this is the project that I'm bringing on board. And I've already kind of given some hints, and they already know roughly, and they are quite excited to see that, it is actually a project that aligns pretty much really well, perfectly with our vision.
Yeah.
So there is no doubt about it. And for us as well, to take on this project is also a great visibility for the foundation of, in terms of the impact we can make, in Africa. And I'm glad that, you guys picked Ghana, and you picked Abigail. And at this stage is everything is clear, to be honest with you. I just wanted to know now, in terms of kicking off, because I know the first stage will be us getting together with Abigail. But before we get together with Abigail, how is it going to work out? Do you prefer, because in the plan, we can see Makeda and Abigail, do you prefer like Makeda, and then Abigail is going to be, like we discussed, under our umbrella, and then we manage the project. So I make sure that she's delivering on site. So at least that operation, like you mentioned, of course, but in terms of the partnership, it's going to be, Motherland and Makeda Foundation, and Abigail is going to be under our umbrella. Or if you prefer 3 separate entities, me and you and Motherland and Makeda, and then Motherland and Abigail. That will be easier since, I'm bringing her on board for me to manage, really to ensure that things are going smoothly on site, there. So that's one of my questions. Is also in terms of the funding, how it's going to work for, of course, Abigail's foundation, for her to really get things going on site, and on our end as well, working together, because ideally I also want to be able to, even if sometimes I'm not going to be able to, I have a team behind me, also some people from Ghana based in the US who are very familiar with the country, to be able also to go, besides me on site, to see all the activities and supervise really what's going on there. Because it's a big project. We don't want, to take this responsibility and then it's not working. This is not the kind of person. Yeah, so that's how I'm thinking, and then also third, in terms of the funding, how fundraising, how is working in with all the partnerships. And yeah, that's it. Again, thank you so much, T, for sharing the plan. It was really, really good, very clear.
Okay.
I'm quite, yeah.
Wonderful, thank you. So, what I take from what you've said, there are 3 objectives for our conversation now. So I'm looking for something that we could call a success metric for our call.
Yeah.
And I think there's
I'm trying to grab a pen because I love taking notes instead of typing sometimes, Yeah, so
that makes total sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Fine.
So we want to have clarity on the roles. So Motherland, Makeda, Abigail, and potentially others. We want to understand how we going to fund what, and we want to understand how we kick this off. These are the main. So my proposal would be that to do that, we move through the document together, and discuss what's there, because I think that might give us clarity on these points.
Perfect. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm a bit strangled by the dog here. Am I right? Just oh, my hand's
No,
not free.
I really like the background. I feel like I need to be somewhere like that. So peaceful right now.
Yes, there's some guys cutting leaves. Is cutting something. I don't know if that's if you can hear that, if that's audible in the background.
No, that's fine.
Okay. All right. You should be seeing my screen now.
Yes, perfectly.
Cool.
I can see it. Yeah.
So so we as I want to begin with how we understand motherland, because that I think makes clear where the boundaries or the cooperation points are.
Yeah.
So what we believe we can do best and where we can add most value is by providing process of understanding the problem scope and adding helping facilitate the solution of these problems with technological solutions and integrate them. So this is where we see our strength.
Yeah.
On a somewhat higher level, we see that entire activity as a process itself. So what we want to learn on the side is how to replicate this entire process in other parts of the world on other topics. And of course, we're also very, very focused on scaling.
Of course, yeah.
We're interested in not singular projects. We're interested in finding ways to from the basis of a singular project, scale this up. So that is where we stand. And how I understand Makeda is that it is further down the line to really working on the ground, right?
Yeah.
So you're not on the ground yourself, but you're enabling specifically women on the ground to do to become entrepreneurial, innovative, and take agency, right?
Yeah.
And then even further downstream, Abigail is actually on the ground.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So this is if you organize what we do in layers of abstraction. Motherland is the most abstract. Makeda is the linkage, and Abigail is concrete.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Yeah.
So, and I think this distinction can inform who is focusing and leading on what element. Yeah.
Definitely, yeah. I agree. Totally.
Okay, so so let's look at community identification, because that's definitely the first step, and that should be fleshed out most precisely for the kickoff. And so we need a group. We need a group that are of women or people in general, who are in the same geographic location.
Yeah.
So they're connected physically. They can meet each other and they can talk. They have similar infrastructure. So they're using the same roads. They're using they know the same people. That is what we mean by geographically directly connected. And who are also very likely to share the same challenges, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's because that is our entry point, solving one of these challenges. So we need to be somewhat sure that we will have a common important challenge between all of them. So we as Motherland know nothing about the ground actual situation in Ghana, and specifically not where Abigail is, right?
Yeah.
So that is why Abigail has the lead, right?
Yeah.
Just a question, by the way. I noticed that you put her last name in front in one of your emails. Was that on purpose, or is that like the way it's done in Ghana, or because I followed that.
In Africa, usually, I think things are changing, but before it would be the last name first, and then, but when I think about it, because I'm thinking about my startup in Ghana right now, actually they are putting their first name first, like, you know, yeah, so it's fine, because most of them put, but before, yeah, so sometimes I get confused because some startups will put it before or, you know, after, so yeah, so ignore that, but I think Abigail does. I'm gonna check her document and see how, just
how
to
she
be
does
sure.
it.
Yeah, how she does it, exactly.
Okay, so the goal here is to find 10 to 20 women who share that profile, because that is a size that we can actually work with very well, who there's still social accountability in the group. It's not breaking down because it's too big, etc.
Yeah.
So in this phase, Motherland will be somewhat in the background, helping Abigail and you with the process, if we can be of any support. Where we will definitely come in, and of course we will be there. So with any support, to be concrete about this, this could be coming into calls to explain firsthand what the overall intention is from our perspective, right? If that is of help. We don't necessarily need to do that, but if there's of help, something like this we could do. We could also help with the process of identifying questions to ask, interviewing, surveying, etc.
Yeah.
Right? So to identify who could be a good match. But being on the ground, speaking with the ladies, having meetings, that is nothing we do. Okay, so that's how we understand phase one. And in here, the final step will be that we do a zero measurement. So we're finalizing our questions, our survey for our impact measurement. So that we have a base set of numbers, right? And what we would also need for that is a second comparison group that does not take part in Motherland, or does not take part in the process, that also goes through that same measurement process, so that we intend to do a measurement every 3 months. We want to send it out by WhatsApp. So there's a bot communicating, asking questions and getting feedback, and then we can automate that, and then we have proper data every 3 months, and we can do proper impact analysis and see whether what we're doing has an impact, which is going to be crucial. Going to be crucial for the fundraising, for decision making and everything. So this is how I see phase one. Is there any any thoughts?
So far is very clear.
Okay.
In terms of the 10 to 20 women, yeah, it's just to kick off with, right? After that, of course you scale to more women, right? Because I know Abigail community is massive. It's massive, you know.
That's the whole point.
It's just like, yeah, exactly.
That's the whole point. But we need to begin with a group that we can actually get feedback on.
Yeah.
So what we need to achieve is a high rate of learning. So the faster we can learn,
Yeah.
the better we adjust and the better the outcome will be. And once we reach a saturation in that learning, then we're ready for scaling. Then and that will then manifest itself in a set of solutions and a way to implement these solutions on the ground. And we can't even say whether that's going to be with the initial 10 to 20 women. Maybe we've discovered that it has to be 50, or maybe we discovered that it has to be 5, right? So
makes sense.
We don't know. So we're open, we learn, but what we know is that in the end, it will be some form of creating coherence between them in terms of governance between them around shared infrastructure. And that shared infrastructure can be digital and it can be physical. And that's so they co-use, co-own, share some infrastructure that helps them be much more effective, and by being that raising their standards of living in all dimensions. That's what we're after.
Perfect.
So, and then phase 2, in order to do that, we will need to run one or a few workshops with them. So we need to have them also in phase 1 commit to spending time, right? We cannot really say how much that's going to be. My experience tells me that 3 iterations usually are necessary to receive or to have a solid understanding of the challenges. And I believe that these workshops should be 1 or 2 days each. So their commitment should be 3 to 6 days of workshop time that they can offer. If they can't offer that, then we will have a hard time really getting in touch with their base reality and understand what's going on, right? So we should, if that's unrealistic, then we should get as much as possible, but we should need to understand what's realistic. Okay, that's also something we would need from Abigail and you, or more from Abigail, to understand what is realistic. So let's add that and can commit. I have a hard time writing commit. I never commit.
Correct.
3 to 6 days of
give me 2 seconds. I'm calling my nanny again. Just give me 1 minute.
No problem. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, T, she's not picking up. It's fine. Yeah, go ahead.
No worries. Just keep trying. I'm super flexible. Okay, so we have that. So the goal of these challenges has to be that they're at least pointed towards them becoming more self-sufficient and self-reliant, meaning that they are less dependent on the outside markets, on outside forces, that they have more flexibility, more dynamic in the way they lead their lives, which we assume will lead to more high well-being, because then they can expend money or time to education, for example, to better nutrition, all of that. Okay. So here we see that we are really good at facilitating these kinds of processes. So this is something we would like to take responsibility for, but we're not on the ground, right?
Yeah.
So, so we have Sebastian Feldman, who is in Ghana. He could be the perfect person to run these workshops on behalf of on Motherland.
Yeah.
But he needs to have the landing strip on the ground. He needs to be welcomed. He needs to be able to do the work.
Yeah.
So that is something I see where the responsibility lies with you, to make sure that he can actually do this. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that he can get together with the women, that they can work together, etc.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So as a result, we will have very concrete challenge descriptions, and now Motherland will do a first of all a search in our database, but also a landscaping again of a more precise landscaping fit to the challenge of what's out there in terms of solutions.
Okay.
Bring these solutions to the table. Yeah. And come into an agreement with solution providers to work together on solving that issue.
Yeah.
The incentive we have for them, the main incentive we have for them is potential scaling.
Very good. Okay.
So we can give them market access, if you will, to thousands and thousands of women, right? Super
and will you be funding them as well, the startups?
Well,
to work on the project?
So we intend to, yes, but that depends on how fast we can raise the funds that are necessary for this. So we want to support them with money, yes, but if we are not fast enough in the fundraising, which is entirely possible, so I don't want to. We're working hard on that, but I'm not going to make empty promises here. So if we have funds, we will apply them, and we intend to have that, but I cannot make that promise. So if we don't have the funds and we're at that point, then that'll not stop us from working.
No, makes sense.
Okay, and then the incentive for the startups will only be market access and impact. And then finally, and this is pointed towards the scaling aspect, first within Abigail's community, but then beyond, to really get these integrated, these solutions integrated into something that is transportable. Transportable meaning that we can culturally and technically bring it to another group, and we know how to do that.
Yeah.
And so for that, we believe that we need at least 2 full-time equivalents on the ground that will do this and start doing this with other groups.
What skills you need in them, the full-time?
Sorry?
What kind of skills do you have a set of skills already that you have in mind?
So these people need to be highly empathetic, because they have to really culturally connect in order to be able to integrate that. But they also need to be very well versed in technology.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
So that's the most important aspects of the people that I see. They all obviously have to be able to speak the language, whatever. I don't know if there are any special languages or dialects that are spoken, but they should be able to speak those.
that may be difficult because there are so many dialects. The main is English, and
Okay.
I know there is English, and the second big name is how is it called? How do they call it? There is I know in Ghana there is one dialect that is spoken is widespread, throughout the country. I think I forgot the name. I'll ask.
So if everybody's really, really familiar with English, that should do. But I really would argue that if we have the choice between somebody who can also speak that language on
Yeah, what I think will be someone who speak English but who also speak that widespread dialect at least.
that would be perfect.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. But it may be difficult to find someone who speak English, the widespread dialect, and if Abigail is in the north and they have their own dialect in the north,
yeah,
that dialect may be a very small proportion of people in the country. Do you see what I mean? So I feel like as long as Abigail can help with that. But as long as you have someone who speaks the widespread dialect and English, they can combine at least one of them. And second one, we have to make sure that they speak the local language as well. So I think that's doable. Abigail, I'm sure, will be able to get that.
So I'm going to put that in brackets.
I think I'll tell you the name right now.
Okay, so this is the overall intention that we have here.
Yeah.
So
Twi is the main language. Sorry, I was looking for that. Twi.
What's
Twi. Twi. Yeah. TWI.
Like so.
That's it. TW local Twi. That's it. Twi is fine. Yeah.
Okay. So in terms of funding, so we're trying to really be as lean as possible here at the moment, because it is surprisingly hard to raise that money. What we discovered, what is the main difficulty for us, Sebastian and me, is that we're white and that we're male and that we're in Europe.
Don't say that.
Yeah, that's the main difficulty. Because people say, okay, who are you to know anything about Africa? We say, we don't know, but we have amazing people on the ground who know, not strong enough usually. So it's harder than expected, much harder. We're obviously trying to solve that. We now have the support of a very experienced fundraiser with a German, but with a long track record in Africa, who's supporting us with that. Having said that, there is already a soft commitment by a foundation of 30,000 euros. This can bring us to a certain level. So what needs to be funded is Sebastian Feldman needs to receive some remuneration. There needs to be
Sebastian, who is based in Ghana, right?
Exactly. But for his work he will need something. Also accommodation, things like that, travel cost, then potential support for the startups. Not a lot, but so it's not going to be a huge investment, but if we can, even if they're not very supportive at first, we could have the money just to buy their service, right? For example, or we give them some funding and receive maybe shares for that.
Yeah, exactly.
and then last but not least, the integration of it all. Maybe there needs to be some software that needs to be built, and also the full-time equivalents that need to be paid, obviously. So that is what we need to fund at the absolute minimum, and that is not taking into account a single cent for Sebastian or me, and our time, or any of the work that you are doing, or any of the work that Abigail is doing. So so that's really bootstrapping, right? Bootstrap mode. And so anything higher than that will allow us to move more quickly with more ease, and we're aiming for that.
Because I was also thinking, even Abigail on the ground, she may need some support, financial support, to keep moving, you know, on the.
That would have been my question. So what are your thoughts about the funding needs, so that you can see where that funding might come from?
Yeah, to be honest with you, I was waiting to also have that meeting internally with because what I'm thinking, maybe that will be also part of we need to see how we can bring that together, and part of the Makeda, if we contribute, because it's also we also need to sustain the foundation, we also need to work, we also need to, you know, get the team. That's obvious, right? But at the same time, in parallel, you know, I'm thinking, would that be possible as well for us, once we're ready to kick off, to talk about this part of the project with Motherland as part of our pitch, you know, for Makeda, to say we working in partnership, or with however we decide, we conclude to put it, and with Motherland, this project, just give a really good information about the project, and say that we are the enabler in terms of, you know, getting the women, you know, to be, how do you call it, independent, economically empowered, you know. So we are enabling this project in Ghana. So that could be a really good pitch as well for the foundation. So because, as I say, it does align with our vision. Because yeah, at the end of the day, I'm like, you know, it's a big project. I'm definitely 100% want to work on the project, which I want to present to the team, to our team as well internally. But we are at the stage as well with Makeda where we need funding to sustain the whole foundation anyway. And I was thinking, with this kind of project, you know, to make sure to drive success, although Abigail is there time to time, I would love to be able to go there and see how things, and meet Abigail face to face, you know, and also, of course, digitally from distance. But also show, if I can, you know, show like governments in Africa what we're doing, you know, have a face on the project, you know, and talk about it, who knows, you know, to media about what we're planning to bring into. So also the communication, the you know, part of, because it's good to also have a female African, you know, advocating, you know, evangelizing the program not in the continent. We can say, you know, Ghana, and then scale after, you know, afterwards. It's always good, as you say, to start niche. So that's my thought, but it needs to be sustainable. So I was thinking in parallel, because right now, knowing that, you know, we need the funds, and we've got the key priorities for the funding, before we go anywhere beyond, and, you know, it takes time. In the meantime, I can also include that, you know, in the pitch, that how Makeda is going to be an enabler in this project. So I think it will also really be a good turning point for the foundation to be able to really grasp, you know, that project and work with you guys. So how do you think about that approach?
That sounds amazing. So I think that that it sounds like that could be beneficial for you, for the foundation, to have a project like that, and it definitely is beneficial for us, to be able to say, okay, we have a strong implementation partner on the ground in Ghana. That's the Makeda Foundation. And that'll help us tell the story much more precisely as two white guys, saying, yes, we're two white guys. We bring in the abstract because, and we can do this because we have a strong implementation partner on the ground. Okay. And so what we would need to do for this is that for this specific project, we should set up a budget that we believe is needed, a shared budget. And then specifically raise that.
Yeah, I think so.
And in partnership saying, having the exact roles down, right? So what does Motherland do here, and what does Makeda do? How is that reflected in the funds? And then go out together for fundraising. Yes.
So yeah.
Yeah. So one concrete next step could be we just open a spreadsheet and start putting in numbers. That's very fundamental. Like how many people do we need? How many flights do we need? How many whatevers do we need? Put in some assumed prices for that, and then we reach a number. We don't have to make this rocket science. And then we have a very specific project to go fundraising for. That's really, really cool.
Yeah.
So that is I will start this and then I'll pop that over to you for you to add comments and whatever you like, and so that sometime maybe next week we have at least a preliminary budget ready that we can go fundraising for. And then in addition to that, we could and should add what we just said, that implementation partnership and the process partnership. We could be like the process partner, if you will, or the tech partner. I'm not sure what the right word is. While you are the implementation partner, put that into a pitch deck, both exactly. for you and for us.
That's it.
And then we go out, and going out means it is, so we're going to run this past our coach, but it is very likely that we're going to initiate a series of online conversations with potential donors or people who have access to potential donors for discussing in more general terms how we're going to finance a regenerative economy, a shift towards a regenerative economy. How's that concretely financed? And we will focus this conversation, of course, on Africa, and then give the concrete example of Motherland and the even more concrete example of our project. And so that in these conversations, you come in as an active partner or somebody from the foundation, or Abigail. So it's to make this really, really concrete. And the other way around, if you have conversations with anybody regarding this, we will be available.
Yeah, I think that is amazing. It's a really good synergy, and we know you're not alone, I'm not alone. We can back you up if people think what you know about Africa.
Yeah. Exactly.
And also me, when I'm pitching, they can see that I've got a strong support, technical support to actually make this project come to life, in Africa. So I think it's a really good synergy here. And I'm going to present this to the foundation as well, to the team, because I think at some point, I would like you to meet one or two people in the team, because it will be also, if I'm not available, knowing that I've got my work, my consultancy work with Microsoft, and but it doesn't stop me because I've got a strong team working with me.
Mhm.
So if it's not me, I've got Kobe, who is from Ghana, based in the US as well, entrepreneur himself, who can sometimes, you know, on behalf of the foundation, come and take the lead and talk to people, and other people in the foundation as well, who can, other women who can come, including myself. So I think for that, there is a good team, you know, to take the rotation, how do you put it? So yeah, I think we good. I mean, next step, I'm looking forward for you to, you know, working on the spreadsheet and send it to me. And then once we kind of finalize the mutual budget, let's bring in, then we can officially, if you're okay with that, you know, draw and sign a partnership agreement. And
Yeah.
then we have a meeting with Abigail as next step.
Exactly. So I wouldn't wait with that meeting with Abigail before we have all of that formalized. I think that's slowing us down.
Perfect. It's fine. I'm flexible. So when do you want us to bring Abigail in the meeting?
One step back. So regarding the agreement, would you be willing to draft the first version of that agreement so that we can move this ball forward as well, while I'm doing a first number game, and then we can meet with Abigail soon. So maybe even we can find some time next week or the week after next, and do a little kickoff with her, because we haven't really brought her into the picture yet, right?
True.
So we should do that as quickly as possible, and maybe also from our side bring Sebastian Feldman in, from your side bring one or two people from the foundation in, so everybody has seen each other, and then the question would be, what does a kickoff look like? In my perspective, the kickoff looks like that we discuss this plan that we just discussed.
Yeah.
Everybody's roles in there, and that there's a concrete first step coming out of that towards solving phase one.
Yeah.
So that would be my understanding of that, and I'm super happy to move fast on that. So
cool. And also one thing I wanted to ask you, which is I think even be better for, you know, with the startup I work with, is that any specific criteria? Because what I'm thinking now going forward, I want to reduce the number of startups I coach. I want really like maybe 6 or 7 maximum, maybe maximum 10, which is a bit already too much. But you know, among these, I want specifically hire, you know, that we can maybe who have a strong chance to be part of this project. Because we can tell them why we're recruiting. This is what the project, Makeda is an implementation partner on this project. And at the end, you know, we will, once you are selected, we will kind of take one or the 2 best to be part of this particular project, you know, that we are involved with.
Well, it's hard to promise that, but if there's a fit, absolutely, right? It would be.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for, to know what are the criteria, because of course with startups you can never, you see, whenever you're not 100% sure until is there any project like any hackathon to pick the best of the best. But at least to kick off with, you know, if I can already have an idea of, you know, should I start focusing maybe on startups in Ghana, but okay, I already have one in Rwanda, and yeah, what will be but again, we can't really assess that until we know the solution, we know the challenge, we know.
Exactly.
So,
once you know the challenges, then it'll become more easy to say. But I would say that the minimum or the search field is somewhere around agriculture and more to the post-harvest side. So what we see again and again is that the main problems are market access both from an information and from a physical perspective. So what's the price I can get and how do I get the stuff to the market? The second one is storage. And how can I store stuff in a way that I can safely transport it to the market, or that it can wait before it's being transported to the market to achieve the price I need to achieve. And the third one is refinement. The highest portion of the value creation happens in refinement. And if more of that can happen locally, the women will be definitely more empowered. So these are the three main things, and all of them happen post-harvest mainly.
Perfect. Makes sense. No, the reason why I was thinking about the startups is also because under umbrella, of course, is the mini accelerator, right? And also when I'm raising funding, I'm also raising funding to support them, to support these startups. So there is a part where I need to think how, when I'm doing the fundraising, you know, to maybe when we look into the mutual budget, then I'm going to add the extra budget on top for what I'm looking for to support my startups. Do you see what I mean? Because I also need to sustain them, to help them, to fund them, and because that's also one of our key pitch, get them, support them with.
As long as they fit into the program, I don't see much of an issue with that. Okay. But it's going to be hard to explain why. Let's say what could be out there. A startup purely focused on education, which is super important, but right now it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
right? So that would be too far out.
That's fine.
As long as we can find really good arguments, I don't see any issue with that.
Yeah. No, that's fine. What I'll do, no, that's fine. My question was more if I keep that for now, because of course, as you know, my startups are not just mainly focused on agriculture. I've got other, so to support them, shall I run two separate kind of, if we're doing the pitch, right? I'm just trying to see how I can think my pitch to support.
So the way we can do this is to say, there needs to be a portion to allocate towards startups in general. The startups that help solve the challenges, and we will, of course, first look towards ones that you have chosen, but we will definitely always choose the best one to solve the problem. So we cannot promise that we will choose the ones you've already chosen. If there's a better one somewhere out there that wants to work with us.
Of course.
But that's how I would see it, and that's how you could build the link over there, right? To your startups, to say, okay, we can support those if they fit the challenge really well.
Okay, so yeah, what I'm trying to, I totally understand that. That's very clear. But at the same time, my current, just to explain, to give you an idea, my current pitch right now before Motherland is what for me to get funding. For example, when I'm hiring my startups and when they get onboarded, we help them with the investment readiness, pitch readiness, and with the workshop, financial, ideally what we want to give to fund them, like the Tony Elumelu he does. When they join, they have a small funding, right, as a grant. So they can afford the basic equipment that they need. They have a small cash, to sustain the business while they're with the foundation. So at the end of the boot camp, now they are ready themselves to pitch for a bigger funding. So then when we help them to meet investors or other, we can keep either, how do you call it, as an equity, a percentage of equity, or it could be like a cash payment, on, you know,
Okay.
for like a small percentage for connecting them with investors. But ideally, one side of my pitch is really to help startups who join Makeda from the start. So I'm trying to see how now to align that pitch. Do you see what I mean?
I totally get that, and I think that's super aligned. The only restriction we have there is that we want to be really focused on solving the challenges of the people on the ground, and wherever there's a fit, if we find a fit, then it makes absolute sense putting those two ends together totally. But we don't know the challenges yet, so we cannot say.
Yeah, no, makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah.
No.
Cool.
Very cool. So I will send you the link to a spreadsheet, and I'm looking forward to the link to a first draft of an agreement.
Yeah, I'll speak to our lawyer. She's away at the moment, but she's right now in Grenada. Okay. She should be coming, I think, next week, because she also needs to draft some contracts for, you know, when I'm introducing startups to investors, you know, and if they raise funding, we try to get small for the work that we do percentage for the foundation. So it's something she's working on as well. So yeah, when she gets back, hopefully, I'll find out when she's back, so we can definitely, I'll ask her to support on that for sure.
And then we can already start putting together the people who should be in the kickoff and the date for the kickoff. So I think that's something we should do by WhatsApp to coordinate who would everybody like to be in part of the kickoff, so that we can bring all of these people together into some agreement on a date.
Yeah, cool. So for sure, we know Abigail, Sebastian.
The other Sebastian. You, of course, me.
Yeah.
And then from our side, I would say that's everybody, but or maybe not. Maybe there's Nico who would also join. But
and a few people from the foundation as well, hopefully. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So let's draw up a list and then initiate the communication with these people, set up a doodle to find a date where everybody has can join, so that we have an official date for a kickoff.
Perfect. Yeah. So cool. Yeah, I'm going to speak to because the reason why I was actually talking about the pitch is just because right now I've been working on the pitch to present to the Canadian government, right? So I'm thinking, because one of our ambassadors, I haven't made the official announcement yet. He's the consul. He's based in Ecuador. And he's the consul and counselor of the Canadian government there. He's a diplomat, basically. So he's the ambassador. So we trying to get, you know, to win a grant, hopefully, with the Canadian government. So it was already ready, all the pitch and stuff. So, and then with the amount that we wanted for the foundation to help with infrastructure and everything. So that's why I'm thinking, should I just pursue that, or should I now include another budget for the project? Do you see what I mean? So that's why I'm like, in terms of my pitch, because I'm in the middle of sending pitching.
So my suggestion there, I unfortunately have to leave in 2 minutes for another call, but my suggestion there would be to work on the pitch for this project here, and see when you do that, see where there is enough overlap, or whether there is enough overlap, because you don't want to confuse people you've already spoken with about a specific project. So I would only do this in your case if there is so much overlap that it makes sense. Updating them and telling them, look, we've spoken about this thing. Something has happened since then, and that fits that project perfectly. And this is this new project, and together they make even more sense. It's just that now it's more funding that is required. That's if that is something you can say, I would totally put them together.
Perfect. Okay, makes sense. Yeah, makes sense. Cool.
Cool.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Linda.
Speak to you soon. Have a lovely weekend. And yeah, I'll wait for the spreadsheet, and then I will speak on WhatsApp to schedule everything else. Yeah.
We'll find a way. Good. Have a great weekend. Have fun with the kids. Ciao.